mentioned the fact that you were talking to yourself on occasions. Can you give us any other examples of the way in which loneliness affected your thought processes?
Yes, when you're alone, you think more slowly, week by week. After all, time begins to lose its value for you, in one sense, although it's still so valuable that you keep time to a quarter of a second for your navigation purposes, and yet at the same time it's losing all its value in ordinary life. Where was I? I'm getting lost.
No, this is a question of how you felt. Don't worry, Francis.
Wait a second. I've gone and sidetracked myself. Say, what's the question again?
How it affected your thought process?
Oh, yes, that's right. Well, it slowed me up tremendously. The important thing is to get the right answer if you have a problem out there. And it's much more important than having a snap decision. So you're not worried about time in that sense, that you can take time over it, and you must get it right. How's that?
Fine. Thank you very much. And the next one? Yes, Riser.
Charleston of the Daily Express. Sir Francis, is there a moment that you look back on and think that was the worst moment of the trip?
Yes. Well, one of the worst moments was when I left Sydney, I think. I had some idea what I was in for, really. But anyway, I don't know. I had quite a sensation when the boat was knocked down, and if you have a boat knocked over, and I suppose in daylight, and you're walking about on its deck or in the cockpit or something, you're taking part of you're on duty and watch. If you're in your bunk in pitch dark, the boat rolls over. It's quite a sensation, I can promise you. Yes, I think that's one of the moments of the voyage.
Right, and the next one?
Alan Crumpton, Sunday Independent, Plymouth. I wondered if Sir Francis could tell us whether he would have liked the freedom of this town in view of his great achievement.
What?
Sorry, we didn't hear the question. Could you say it again?
I asked Sir Francis if he would have liked to be honoured by the freedom of the city in view of his great achievement.
Would you like to be honoured with the freedom of the city of Plymouth due to your great achievement?
I don't know. This is a very, very difficult question to ask. It's like a viper with two tongues. If you miss one, you'll get struck by the other. Of course, I don't know. Can I ask my friend Raymond Seymour to answer it for me?
Like how you stop beating your wife, that sort of question, I think. I think we'll have the next one.
I tell you what, in a sort of odd way, I'll answer it this way. I'm really, really delighted when I had a cable from the mayor of Barnstable. You know, I was born 4.5 miles outside Barnstable. I suppose you chaps in South Devon have never heard of it, but it's up in North Devon, capital of North Devon. And when I had a cable from Mayor Bill Wilkie saying he'd like to make me a freeman of Barnstable, I was absolutely delighted. So if you can draw any consolation from that, please do.
Thank you, Francis. Yes.
No Botham Daily Sketch. I understand, Sir Francis, you had some trouble with your arm in the last week of your voyage. I wonder if you could tell us what it was and what treatment you gave it.
Well, one of the chief worries about my arm was I thought my friends would say it was due to lifting my elbow too much. But actually it gave me a lot of trouble. This arm of mine, I kept on hitting the elbow in the same place. It always seemed to, everywhere I went on the boat, it just seemed to get hit by the winches, the winch handles, everything in the boat seemed to strike this one spot. And in the end, I got a very big crack from a winch handle that slipped, and I thought the bone had broken. You don't want me to go into all these details, do you? Anyhow, I think it's better, but the great trouble is that I can't lift that hand up to my mouth, you see, with a glass in it at present. And I find this is I don't know whether it's an indication of the cause of the trouble or not, but it's very painful.
Right, and the next one.
Sorry, I wonder if you could possibly answer what treatment you used for the answer.
What treatment you used for it?
Ah, yes. Well, that's when a I found that a scalding hot pack on this thing would help the pain, would ease the pain. But the trouble was that it always hurt when I tried to go to sleep, and I couldn't sleep. As soon as I lay down, it played up, and I felt I descended to taking a pain deadener. I think 8 nights I had to take this stuff in order to get sleep. It was quite painful over quite a long while. And of course it's quite a frightening thing that on your own, if you think you've broken a bone, just imagine if one had broken one's leg or one's arm, it'd be very awkward. So that I think that imagination plays possibly a strong part in it. That you're fearing this to break. Okay.
Thank you, Francis. And the next one. Yes?
Yeah, Tony Currer from the London Sun newspaper rather. I'm wondering, Sir Francis, if for everyone you could sum up in 2 or 3 sentences how you really felt about the voyage. What it meant to you and your exact feelings on coming back to Plymouth tonight.
Well, I reckon that, that question would have given William Shakespeare quite a job myself. You asked me to do it in 2 or 3 sentences. I don't think he could have. But which sentence do we have first? It'd take me about 500 sentences, I think, to answer it. Try and answer it. And then you wouldn't get a clear answer like you would from old Shakespeare. One line.
One fitting phrase to end the whole thing.
What?
You must have one fitting phrase, a couple of sentences which,
end the whole thing.
describe your feelings on your return here to Plymouth,
I think that it intensifies life. You're living life to the full on a job like that, and it's really worthwhile because of that. If you want to live life to the full, that's one way of doing it, I consider.
Now, we'll take 2 more questions, and the time's running out, right?
Edward Cowan, New York Times. Sir Francis, can you tell us whether you think that you will make any more solo voyages on the ocean?
Well, not for a week, anyway. I couldn't look very far ahead, actually, because you see, when I found always on any interesting, worthwhile project that for about a year I just don't want to have anything to do with it, sort of thing. And then you start again, and something crops up that you get mad keen about. So the answer is at the moment no, but in a year's time it might be something else.
Right, now the last question. Yes?
General, the Daily Mirror, sir. Can you tell us very briefly, sir, anything at all about your future plans over the next few days? how you intend to spend your first few days at home, sir?
Well, one thing I'd like would be the best dinner from the best chef in the best surroundings, in the best company. That would be one nice thing after 4 months of my own cooking. I can't think of. There's so many things, you know. You would ask these difficult questions. Anyway, that's one thing I'm quite certain about that one. Can I close on that?
Francis, you've answered our questions for over half an hour, and for me, and I know for everybody else who's been privileged to hear you, it's been a fascinating and, may I say, a humbling experience. Can I say, on behalf of us all here, how wonderful it is to have you back, how grateful we are to you for coming here, and to wish you bon voyage on the final leg of your journey to London, where I can assure you that another great welcome awaits you.
And so, for the second time this evening in this hall, Sir Francis gets a standing ovation from an audience that most people would describe as the toughest in the world. I don't know what your reaction to that press conference was, but mine was that we saw a tremendous example of courage and determination, because I have no doubt at all, despite the brave face that Sir Francis is putting on it, he's a pretty tired man. And the fact that he should have decided all those months ago that when he got to Plymouth, he would have a press conference on the day of his arrival, and he didn't deviate from that, although in fact he joined us here in the gathering twilight of a Devonshire night. Sir Francis has joined it and seen the whole thing through. This is the man then, this is the man who earlier this evening conquered a city, and a man who this evening has conquered the representatives of the press of the world. He leaves now. He'll be back in this hall a little later on this week for a glittering reception, and then of course both he and Lady Chichester and their son Giles will set off to sail up the Channel into the River Thames, and there in London a welcome as warm as this await him, and also of course the welcome will be a royal welcome. So from this Guildhall then in Plymouth, at the end of this remarkable and I think quite revealing press conference, we say to you good night.